I love that term, go giver. What does that mean to you?
It just means that I'm open to reciprocation. We'll get whatever we want by helping as many people get what they want. We have a saying here when we do our juice meetings with my squad here at Time to Shine Today. We like to give, give, give until it hurts so good, man. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. Welcome to the Spear and Clover podcast, the show where military mindset meets the spirit of the puppy. I'm your host, Jason Skisick, the entrepreneurial evangelist, and each week I bring you the stories of visionaries who see the world as it could be and can't help but take action. If you're enjoying these episodes, please take a moment to subscribe, like, and review. This is the best way to stay in the loop when we drop new content. Don't forget, the conversation continues in our brand new Spear and Clover community group. Check us out on Discord or follow the link in our bio to join this free group for entrepreneurs or wantrepreneurs. This is where you get to join in the conversation. You can get to know the other followers of the show, hear more from our guests, and pick resources up that can help you grow your business. Hey, entrepreneurs, does any of this sound familiar? Have you hired only A players, purchased the latest fire plays from so-called gurus, consistently almost become an elite organization, only to have it result in talented employees regressing to mediocrity, tactical plays spiking performance and then fading away quickly, managers losing discipline and hunger and either leaving or just coasting? Do you really think the difference between you and the industry-leading team is a hire or a slick new marketing play? That's the same tired crap my Chicago Bears have shoved down my throat for over 30 years. Meanwhile, the Green Bay Packers have had two coaches in 50 years, they've had two quarterbacks in 20 years, and they're a contender every single year. Many leaders buy the best playbooks, draft the best talent, and hire the best coaches, and year after year, they return without trophies. Who could blame them? Most business coaches, consultants, and so-called gurus only sell tactical playbooks designed to provide a brief spike followed by a return to business as usual. The truth is, winning is simple. You need a clear North Star supported by managers and role players that have absolutely zero uncertainty about how they can help the team win today. Our simple program helps you become a dynasty organization from top to bottom. Dynasty Defined not only helps you structure a team that's capable of consistently winning championships, but once you do, they'll be writing their own playbooks, recruiting the best talent, and calling their own plays from the field. The choice is yours. Continue to hope that the next hire or brand new marketing play will finally solve all your problems, or commit to winning permanently, roll up your sleeves, and let's get started defining your dynasty. Hosting this show has introduced me to so many people I would have otherwise never met. In more than a few cases, I've stayed in touch with the great guests beyond the interview, and in a few cases, I'm proud to say I've become friends with them. I have never felt a bigger outpouring of love and positive energy than when I met Scott Ferguson. Scott is a perfect mix of high energy love bomb matched up with clear professionalism and ability to focus on accomplishing the task at hand. I think you know around here we have a phrase for that. The host of the Time to Shine Today podcast, military vet, good man, and supportive friend, please welcome, appropriately from Florida, the hurricane of love, my friend, Scott Ferguson. Scott, how the hell are you, brother?
Bro, that was amazing. Thank you so much, Skisick. That was just kick ass, brother. I really appreciate it. I'm humble, grateful to be here and rock the mic with you, my man.
Yeah, I couldn't agree
That's
more.
awesome.
So it's funny. I don't know if this is everybody you talk to, but I feel like I've known you for 20 years.
You know,
Is that common? Is that something you do?
without like trying to stoke my ego or anything like that, but yeah, I try to make it like that with people. But
Yeah.
there's also connections that I make, and Skisick, you're right up there, man. There's just something. A lot of it has probably to do with our military backgrounds, our love for jujitsu and the mats, and just like having an overwhelming zest for being a go-giver in life, man.
Yeah, and I love that term, go giver. What does that mean to you?
It just means that I'm open to reciprocation, but going back to the old Ziegler, we'll get whatever we want by helping as many people get what they want, and
Yeah.
that's I really do. I really feel that we have a saying here when we do our juice meetings with my squad here at Time to Shine Today. We like to give, give, give until it hurts so good, man. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. And let's pump the brakes a little bit and just kind of give us your backstory. I mentioned that you have the show, and we can see behind
Mhm.
you the Time to Shine Today podcast, which I've
Mhm.
been a guest on, and
Absolutely.
really professionally run. I was very impressed by that,
Thanks,
by the
man.
way. But tell us a little bit more about where you're coming from and what it is you spend your time doing.
You know what, man? I was born in 1972, so I just turned the 50 in February. And during when I was born there, I was born in the Philippines,
Hmm.
and my father was an American GI, just kind of like a float through, if you know what I mean. Hooked up with a lady who's my biological mother. She got pregnant. At the time, a mixed breed bastard males were being taken from the mother at the hospital because I'm 6'1", I'm about 260, I'm pretty well put together. And if you see like an average Filipino man who is about 5'4", 5'5", about a buck 20, buck 30, they were afraid at that time that people my size, or not even my size, just an average American male, 190 pounds, they're afraid of a physical takeover. So they're
Hmm.
literally taking the bastard children from the biological mother and taking them to Spain. And no one really knows what happened to those males that went to Spain, because Spain controls the Philippine Islands. So my mom, there's an Air Force couple that was there stationed in Subic Bay, and they said, "Hey, we'll adopt him." So she literally at birth handed me to who was going to be my mother and father,
Wow.
and they're starting the adoption process, get my citizenship stuff ready, and the mother who's going to adopt me, her father died. She ended up going schizophrenic, so they couldn't raise me, but they had taken me on a temporary trip to California. So they couldn't raise me, so they dropped me off in an orphanage. And I got adopted finally by who I call my mother and father now. And they were super white, and this is 1974.
Hmm.
Okay. I was, 2 years old, and adopting a darker skinned child at the time was something else, so mad props to my mom and dad. But my father had served in Vietnam, and he was a bad drunk. So I kind of got sent from household to household to raise me. So I had really bad abandonment issues,
Hmm.
from the start. Where I found some relief was in sports. I excelled at wrestling and at baseball. Had some looks from some universities, but they said, yeah, I didn't mention that academically I didn't excel. So it was like my grade point average was like 1.8, and they're like, yeah, we can't take you. My dad's like, dude, I raised you better than this, and you can't live here just for free. So went in the military.
Hmm.
Best thing I ever did. Had a family that to this day, with help from the Facebook phenomenon in 05, 06, I rekindled a lot and got back together a lot of the guys that I served with. But that was my first really feeling of a feeling of being in a real family. No disrespect to my father. He knows I tell the story. But just a real family. And then I did 7 years, got out, and I really had a chip on my shoulder. And I started kind of personal training people, real estate business, and then started printing money. And then in '09, the market, if people were alive back then and in business, the market just flattened really bad, lost everything. But I needed it because I was making money as more of a vulture, more of a kind of a, preying on other people's misfortunes. At
Sure.
the time, I even named a company Vulture Capital LLC. And basically they're losing their house, and I'd scoop in and we'd buy it from them. And when I lost everything, I was like kind of flatlined. I just had me and my rescue Rhodesian Ridgeback at the time, Rhodey, and I had a listing on the market, and they moved to Florida, so we lived in their house without them knowing. I
Hmm.
went to the library one day because that's about what I could afford to do, walk my dog and go to the library. And a gentleman said, "Hey man, I think you really need to read this book." And he handed me a book by a gentleman named Andy Andrews, and it's called the Traveler's Gift. And the Traveler's Gift is just real quick nutshells. This dude, he loses his job, high paying job. His daughter's dying. So he decides to end it and run it in his life and run his car into a tree at about 60 miles an hour. And he wakes up on the floor in Give 'em Hell Harry Truman's office the day before, 1945, the day before they were going to drop the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And he teaches him a lesson about responsibility and taking action. And then he also visits like King Solomon for wisdom and Frank for happiness. And there's 7 people he visits in it. And it just really turned my mind around of how it was being a vulture before. And there's people out there that need me. And so our tagline really is, we don't want to have anyone to feel like they have no one.
Hmm.
So I've been where a lot of people are walking. If you're in the dark, if you're in the shadows, but the biggest thing is continue to walk. I believe God is my creator, and in Psalms he says, I walk through the valley of shadow of death. It doesn't say sit there and lull and fiddle faddle around. He's like, walk, keep going, keep taking action. That's what we do at Time to Shine today. Is if you're in that lull, we're going to get you through. And if we can't, we're aligned with people like you, Ski Sick, and other people. They can help people get to where they are. I might not be the right horse for the course, but other people are there for help them. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. Sorry for going a little long, but I had to show where the abandonment came from and how we don't want to have anyone to feel like they have no one.
No, that's beautiful, man. And I identify with that. Certainly have not lived your life, but I identify with a lot of what you're talking about. I think there's a quote, if you find yourself walking through hell, keep going. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. And to your point about family, listen, people in the military, frankly, I think civil society's co-opted this and used it in stories, but people in the military will mostly tell you, hey, I love the family I was born to, but this is the family that I chose or that I was issued, I guess.
Issued, yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect word.
And ever since I've left the military, and I had a different upbringing than you, but ever since I left the military, the thing I've been looking for, the thing I've been trying to build on my own to various levels of success is that tribe where we're fighting for the man and woman next to us, not across.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so how does that military service fuel you forward in what you do now? Because what I see like a soldier of love in you, very much, like very clearly. Thanks, and so is that a practice, or does that just come naturally for you?
You know what? Discipline was instilled at a really young age with me. So actually, when I went to boot camp and my after training as well, was that part was easy. There's some times that you needed people to get through, and the thing is I didn't expect anybody to reach down and pull me up in that family that we were issued. Like you said, bro, it's like they're there, and it's not just for that moment, man. I found that it just carried over to other parts of your life. And as you get older, being 50 right now and just kind of at the midpoint, halftime, if you will, it's like you start seeing things from a plus equal minus, if you will. And that's, how I really lived my life. And I got a lot of that from the military. What I mean by plus is there's people out there that I strive to kind of be like, not them, but be like, and I reach for that plus and try to better myself every day. And the equals is like you and me, Ski Sick, we're peers and we bounce stuff off each other. And then the minus is people that I was that person once and someone pulled me up. So as long as I can, the military really instilled in me a care, a love, a compassion, like you said, a hurricane of love. I can't steal that. I wanted to steal that for the mats in my jiu-jitsu room, but there's this kid that calls himself the Hurricane, So I can't really say that, but no, seriously, man, it's it really just instilled not only the responsibility and the discipline, but the what real unconditional caring really felt like, period.
Tell me about how you help people today. So what is it that you do? Who are your clients typically, and how do you help them along a journey?
I just search out, I believe curiosity is the biggest superpower on earth. And I'm just a super curious dude. People are like, man, for you ask all the questions. I love going places, Jay, where when I leave, they're like, what the hell does that guy even do? Because I don't corner people, but I go and I love conversations. And so the clients that I have, every single one of them get a free hour of power with me. And it's just a conversation. And it's not hey, bud, let's go out and grab a beer conversation. We're digging deep through powerful question asking. I'm not a consultant. I'm a coach. So I'm not going to tell you. There's clients of mine that, 7, 8, 9-figure earners, man, that they forgot more about their business or whatever than I'll ever know. But I can get people to talk to me because I just really believe that everybody knows what they want, but they don't know how to talk themselves into getting there, right? So with that being said, it's like I can have those fun conversations, and that person 8 times out of 10 does not become a client, but probably 3 times out of 10, those people that I talk to refer me people. And that's how I really started growing my Time to Shine Today coaching, is just through fun, super fun, transformational conversations. And that's where I guess the bread is buttered with Time to Shine Today on our coaching side.
Is there anything that you do that you find difficult or that you find like a slog?
Burpees, dude. Every morning, man, I have to fire out 50 burpees. It's kind of like my body coach, Nate, has me doing that. But no, I'm the real. I am, I'm not scared of aging, right? But I just can't do what I used to do. Whether it's get up and hop out of bed. I can't do that anymore, man. I put myself through some wars, figuratively and real, that I can't do what I used to do. And that really bugged me for a long time until, I sought out help and got around the right people. And it just happened to be this dude that just walked up to me one day and he said, "Hey, so how do you get those muscles?" And I'm like, "Pizza and beer." I was just joking, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, no, seriously." And I looked up because I was reading a book. It was at a car wash. I looked up and there's this older gentleman, right? And and I was just like, "Whoa, this is an opportunity for me to talk to somebody, dude." And he's 86 years old. He gets up every day and he just said, "Listen, man," he goes, "every day get up and I get up and I chase energy." And I'm like, I'm a big believer in attraction. And I'm like, chase. No, he's like, "Yeah, you see that coyote, he wants to eat and he sees a rabbit. He's not going to just attract the rabbit into his, mouth. If he does the right things daily, he'll catch that rabbit." So I really reprogrammed a lot of stuff. And this was about 5 years ago, Jake, that really programmed my morning routine, my hour power with myself, my form of meditation. I'm looking at the Atlantic Ocean, so I'm able to get in there. But it's in this, that older gentleman is still alive at 91 years old, and he kicks my butt at pickleball. You know what I'm saying? I'm in a couple pickleball leagues here. It's a big thing down here. And it's, I really feed off other people. So what I'm afraid of, or that is getting old without keeping up. And I'm not old by any means, but I'm just starting to feel a little bit more. And I look around people of my age and I'm like, unless God takes me in a car wreck or a plane crash, so I'm going to live a while, bro, for the way that I take care of myself. So yeah, I'm afraid a little bit of aging, but there's so much excitement with that, man, with experience and being able to pay it forward.
Yeah, I mean, you're my canary in the coal mine, buddy, because I'm about 10 years behind and doing exactly the same shit. So I hope to be in your shape with your attitude when I hit the 5-0 as well.
Be.
Congratulations, by the
Thanks,
way.
man.
Yeah, and the reason I asked you about it, giving her you seem to, like me, be fueled by interaction, by helping people, by having conversations. Like it's almost like it's so rare for me to, because I feel that I always say that I've never gotten off of a phone call with an entrepreneur or a Zoom with less energy than I got on, but I can feel you powering up, like going saying, or hulking out, like during the conversation. I can feel you leaning in. I can see your energy even increasing and your focus lasering in, and that's such an admirable trait. Is it something that you can give others? Have you seen it have you ever been able to pass that on to people, or is that something you're just born with?
No, man, it's something that my father, I love him, my adoptive father, I love him. He did so much for me. He got me my citizenship, the right way. He was there for me on how he knew how to be there for me, but he also worked on the line at General Motors. Didn't really have that mindset to level up. And I love him. He knows I talk about this, and he's fine with it. But I just believe that the more you mentor, the more immortal you become, right? So the more that I can pay that forward, and if it's just an hour power conversation with somebody, they can go home and talk to their wife and say, "Hey, man, I had this fantastic conversation." Maybe pass it on to their offspring, their son or their daughter. And just knowing that I'm putting that out there on the daily. But it's something that I had a gestation period, man. It's like that acorn that you throw on the ground doesn't sprout into an oak. It's just the acorn's down there and the right things have to come together. And my creator, my God, made sure that the people started coming into my life through the actions that I was taking. A lot of people think, they wait on God or their creator or their spiritual guidance for stuff. I believe that God, creator, spiritual guidance is waiting on us to take action. So as long as I'm moving, I'm a man in motion, then I'm able to pay it forward at all costs, even saying, because, I'm not trying to knock the next generation, but I think they need a lot of help, bro. And I'm here to help that.
And I don't know if you've written a book or not, but I like this metaphor of your life is a book. You're writing a book with your life. If
Mhm.
you were writing a book, Scott, what's the arc? What's the title?
You know what? The title, it's funny because I'm in the middle of a business parable right now. I'm not going to drop the name quite yet,
Yeah.
but
Or like your life book. This doesn't have to be
yeah,
written. Yeah.
there's a couple things, man. There's probably like three things, like don't take life too seriously. We're not making it out alive, right?
Mhm.
So that do it scared, no matter what. Do it scared. Get your asking gear. Ask when you don't know something. And the most important, and I'm thinking about it as part of one of the titles, is do it for the intention, not the attention.
Hmm.
Right? So many people are out there; they want that spotlight on them, and they want to do it without being in giving, the
Mhm.
go giver mentality. So my book is a business parable. It's being written. It's in editing now, and it's just about a real estate broker that loses everything, wants to quit the business, goes and speaks to his cocky ass millennial broker to quit. And he's like, listen, all of a sudden his cocky ass turned to real serious. He's like, listen, my dad, who was a real estate legend, said, if I ever want to quit, talk to these five people. So each of those five people have a lesson for my hero, which is me.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's written from real life stuff.
Yeah.
It's written in settings in South Florida. So I really got to learn how to write scenes in different areas, and it's kind of cool. So to answer your question though, man, it's really about doing things for intention, and not expecting it back. I mean, the universe is going to reciprocate no matter what, but you got to give.
When you help somebody, what is it that you feel? Do you feel, because I think about this sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
because we feel good, right? So we're getting something when we help somebody. Is it, can you put words to it? Sometimes I think about, I'll give you just throw a couple things out there.
Sure.
Sometimes I get this feeling of like, I like to see somebody else. I like to see the look in their eyes, or to get the response when they find the answer they're looking for, or help with this certain problem. Is
Right.
it, I like to be the person that people come to and ask advice? Do I like to be kind of a broker of knowledge or connections, right? Is it, I like to feel good about myself or feel like an ethical person? Do you have other ways you look at it? I don't know if you've thought that deeply about it, but I've considered it a lot, and you seem so similar
Mm-hmm.
as far as your motivations. So I'm just curious your opinion on that.
I crave, and I mean crave,
Yeah.
to help. Like if I don't nail that plus equals minus daily,
Yeah.
I feel a lull in my life, man. Like
Hmm.
I am so stoked every day to be able to pass on what people have been so grateful to give to me. I love regurgitating. It's my thing, man. Everything that I've said today I didn't make it up, man. It's
Yeah.
stuff that has been passed on to me. And regurgitation, that is the title of my second book, which you're going to be in it as well. Because all I'm doing is, I mean, you look at Tony Robbins, who I've been blessed to be able to open for, speaking. I know the man, but he regurgitates Jim Rohn, but in his own way. Jim Rohn, Earl Nightingale, Wallace Wattles, all the way back to the Stoics like Seneca and
Yeah.
Marcus Aurelius, right? We're all regurgitating something with our own way. And so that book is kind of being written where I'm taking yours and I's discussion when we drop your show,
Hmm.
putting a 300-word one page in a book with a QR code back to your interview so I can shine more on my interviewees, right? And it's just regurgitating. I'm regurgitating what I've learned from them. So I've just been blessed to do that. And I crave being able to take what I've learned and pass it on to somebody, but doing it in a way that, because everybody has their issues and problems, Skisick, and they're all they reside within them. But the problem that resides in there, the answer is there as well. And somebody that does something that they come up with the idea of, not you telling them what to do, but they come up with the idea, they are going to rock it. Because I've tried to consult before and say, hey, do it this way. And they're like, oh, Fergie, man, you suck, dude. It
Yeah.
didn't work. But if they come up with, they're going to try 1,000 times harder. So I crave those conversations. I beg for them daily. And if I'm not getting them, I'll call like a financial advisor, man. Anybody just need to talk to somebody right now? Now, there's two layers to that. One, financial advisor works with people with money, so they might hire me. But two, they already have a money prospect or like a money mindset, not so
Mhm.
much to make more money, but there's a lull somewhere in their life. And then if I can have that hour of conversation with them, I did it. I've been blessed now to have conversations with people and people referred to me, but I still crave going out there and helping where I can, man. It's freaking part of me, dude.
You find a genie bottle. You have 3 wishes to change the world. What 3 things would you change, or what 3 things would you ask for that you think would help to impact the world in the best way possible?
I mean, you can go super generic on that, like love. You know what I'm saying? It's like love. If you notice, I say I love your guts all the time, man, and
Yeah.
that's just how I am.
Yeah.
Is love, continuous, evolving, meaning like evolve. Every human being, I want them to love. I want them to evolve. And the thirdly is to have fun. Again, it goes back to the first thing I said about don't take life too seriously. We're not making it out alive. And I got that from the most underrated comedy ever called Van Wilder with Ryan Reynolds, one of his first movies. He said that, right? And that's what I want is love, evolve, and have fun. That's the 3 wishes. Other stuff can be made very easily. The 3 things I said are all mindset, and they can be done, but those things are actually harder than going out and making money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I genuinely fucking love people, dude. Like, I do. And it comes from the abandonment that I dealt with when I was younger. And I don't love them for reciprocation and love back, dude. I want to pour into every mother, what, that I talk to. And I'm blessed to be able to do that for a living. I'm blessed to have discussions for a living, dude. And it's awesome.
Yeah, isn't it crazy that we get to do this?
Yeah,
so maybe that's a good question. What made you well suited to be a podcast host? Because you of any podcast that I've been on, it most felt like it could have been 20 years ago, and it could have been like a produced radio show.
Wow.
There's been a few of them. Well, and I want to shout out, what's the name of your assistant?
Donnie or
Donnie's
Tiffany?
the best,
Yeah.
man. Like,
Okay. Yeah.
and this could be 5 questions, but so let's start with, like, what drew you to podcasting? You've got the voice for it, you've got the gift of gab, but like, did you always want to do that? What drew you to that? And then after you're done with that, I want to hear about Donnie, because that dude's killing it.
Dude, thank you. Yeah, you're gonna go to his head, that kid. No, I love Donnie, man. He's the left arm. Tiffany's my right arm. It's awesome. So the podcast. I've always had radio shows. I have a local radio show here. I got the face for radio.
I knew that.
You know what I'm saying? So, but no, I have a radio show here in South Florida, real estate business and lifestyle. I get to talk to millionaires, billionaires about their life, how they got there, and whatnot. And they come in from Palm Beach, where like Mar-a-Lago's at and all that jazz. And then I was like, you know what? I'm a coach. I want to talk to other coaches. I did it as a super duper selfish endeavor. Skisic, where I'm going to do a podcast. I don't care if anyone listens to it, but I'm going to pick people like Jason Skisic's mind, I'm going to get them on a podcast. And I launched it December 19th of 2019. So it was like right before, I don't know if you heard about this thing called coronavirus or COVID at all, but it was right before that happened. And I was just I did like 30 monologue, podcasts just so I get used to a mic at home or in private studio. And then I just started reaching out to people on LinkedIn just to talk, have a conversation, super selfish endeavor to level me up. And then because of COVID, people were wanting to tune into something. And I just landed on the people that I was interviewing, people, they resonated with people. And I was able to send those people business, other coaches. And I actually built even my coaching business up more. And it turned into, pretty big sponsorships from Deed.com, Sleep Number Beds. So I get quite a bit of money per episode and sponsorship, which allows me to buy airtime on terrestrial radio, like AM, FM stations, like, in the Portage, Indiana area or whatnot, and have the show there, which kind of parlayed into my XM radio show. But it's just started as a super selfish endeavor of being able to give awesome value, but also be able to have a free masterclass with every conversation that I had. And it's just blown up now to over 2 million downloads, and, just people can ride to work. And again, we don't want to have anyone to feel like they have no one, period. So I have somebody for anything, whether, like my little brother did, if you're looking at committing suicide, I've interviewed 4 suicide counselors that I can send you to right now. If you're looking to watch your money, I have a gentleman that authored the Cash Flow Cookbook. He'll show you how to do that. I have people that want to talk about digging holes in the desert and stuff. I'll have an interview coming up. I'm just kidding. No, but like seriously, man, our energy is like the peas in the pod, man. And I saw you nodding your head a lot about how you launched your show that I'm blessed to be on. It's like, dude, we just want to have conversations, and that's what it's all about to me, man. All about.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So if I'm sitting there, either driving in my car or sitting in my cubicle or maybe in my office at home, and I've been listening to up until now, and I'm listening hard, and I haven't yet started a business. I don't know if I can, right? What would you tell somebody like that who's maybe walking where you've been in the past? What are some things that you would pass on to that person? In your own words, I'm gonna leave it at that.
No, no, I appreciate that. That person that's knows that there's something more, they know they have that value to give to the world. Basically it's conversations that I have quite a bit with the younger generation, like my 30-year-old clients and whatnot, and their why. They've got to know their why. It's generic, but if I know your why, I can, for lack of a better term, attack every angle, from them with questions and take them directions and unpack. But once we dig deep and unpack that why, we'll be able to get them started. But they've got to remember that everything has got to be done from a place of service, no matter what kind of company they're looking to launch, man. You've got to, and that why, you'll be able to provide a heck of a lot more service if you know why you're doing something versus, oh, this sounds good, I can make a lot of money. I mean, dude, down here in Florida, it's almost like a prerequisite to be a Florida resident to get your real estate license. Like everybody down here is a freaking realtor, right? But they're doing it for the dollar. They're not doing it for the why, or they really serve people. I'm like, dude, you're working with somebody, arguably their biggest investment they're making up to that point in your life, and you're chasing the dollar. So basically, I'd really dig into what kind of business, what drove them to think of that business, and what kind of service are you going to provide on a consistent basis, not just, okay, close the deal and go. I mean, I believe in follow up, follow through, follow back, always staying and building relationships. Because Jason, I want a relationship with every single person I meet. Like you mentioned earlier, you and I built a friendship out of our passions, right? So you and I are probably have a longer relationship, a friendship, right? Where other people, I just want a relationship of some sort with every single person I come into contact with.
Yeah. My good friend Mark England says questions or answers push, questions pull. And I think I think Socrates had a few things to say about asking questions to illuminate. And I think that that clearly that's something that has been successful for you as well. And I've shared that struggle of like trying to tell people the answer. It just never works.
And I also remind people, especially if they're getting started, man, that like inch by inch, it's a cinch, right? By the yard, it's hard. Everybody wants the end game without going through the journey, and that journey, and that going through the valleys and reaching peaks, and knowing that an A-lister is someone, when they're at the top of a peak, they're at the bottom of another one, and just continuously leveling up. I mean, I use level up as a joke, man. I used to, be in the military. Remember Sega Genesis, right?
Yeah.
People are they're playing that. They're like, oh, come on, Ferg, sit here and level up with us. I'm like, you guys are losers, dude. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to the mats. I'm doing something, going to the beach. We live in San Diego, bro. But then I like level up, and that just kind of, someone's like said to me, hey man, Kaizen means, it's Japanese for consistent evolving, consistent getting better. I'm like, same with level up. So I really want people to do that, but they have to understand there's a process, and again, that gestation period that comes with it.
Yeah, I've met a lot of people over the years that have Kaizen as one of their core values, actually. It's funny you say that.
Yeah, consistent improvement, right?
So you meet yourself 10 years from now. What is he going to tell you that you are getting wrong?
That I'm getting wrong?
Yeah.
Be like, Scott, deeply listen, because I like to pride myself with listening with my neck when I'm talking to people, like really in there, like you do.
Yeah.
But sometimes when people are talking, I'm already thinking up an answer instead of really listening for that. Being a coach that all you do is ask questions, it's gotten me a lot better, but that's what he'd be like, shut up, dude. Because I do it so much during the day that it affects my friendships with other people, meaning, okay, dude, I've listened all day. Now, when Susan, my lady, says something to me, I'm like cutting her off and stuff like that. It'd be like, dude, slow down in all aspects of your life. You relax, bro. So that he'd be like, slow down and listen, and listen to internalize and not to react.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that because I feel, excuse me, I think you've certainly done the reps of hearing and seeing a lot.
Yeah.
But I think but every story has its own nuance, and it's possible for guys like us to miss that if we're getting ready with our next knowledge bomb, right? To evoke him twice in one conversation, Mark England, I think, is the master of this, where I think you can really, even really intelligent people can really only come up with 3 or 4 really great points in any given hour, right?
Right.
Unless it's a rehearsed speech they've built over time or something.
Right.
And that dude, he shuts up, except for those 3 or 4 times. Whereas I think guys like me and you are like, okay, we can go here and then we can go there. Yeah. And I always think of it as like, and maybe this is inside baseball, but I always think of it like it's a card game where I'm holding like maybe 2, maybe 3 cards. And as you're talking, these are the 3 places we can go from here. And if you keep going, then I kind of have to discard one. And because it's past, and then you keep going, I have to discard another one. I can pick up a new one. And if I could just put the cards down, I'd have access to the whole deck, right? If I just took my time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. In being a coach, I'm consistently asking questions, and how you form them with emotion. Make sure you're not pissing the client off and taking them down where they don't need to be taken at that time. I've developed with help from my coach's coach, meaning all she does is coaches. Yeah. Is really being able to have questions in front of me on my screen and just being able to turn a search function on for the next question while still simultaneously listening to the answers that they're giving me. Because a lot of times as a coach, and this, like they'll answer something in 3 different ways, and you're like, oh shit, what's my next question to really ask and follow up with them on. And so I've really worked hard, and I do diligently daily on being the best question asker out there, man.
What do you do when you're just screwing off? What do you do that's unrelated to business, that just for fun?
Just for fun. Man, I love kava. It's like, people laugh about it. Kava is a drink, right? It's a root. And, it's for fellow military veterans. I get them all turned on to it because I call it like liquid Xanax, right? It's something you can drink and relax, hangovers, actually feel rejuvenating, go train and work out. So if I had just down F off time, dude, there's like 9 kava bars in South Florida. I'll go visit one and take an awesome Kindle and start digging into something that's going to entertain my mind. Even I found these awesome books by Steve Chandler that he's a coach that I, like, for lack of a better term, idolize. And he wrote these novels about a life coach that solves mysteries, so I'll just take something like that, bro, and read and sip on some kava. But the thing is, I start going back to work because people know who I am there, and they'll be like, hey man, you got a minute? You got to talk? So if you want total F off time, I can just go sit right out here about 50 yards from my window and put my feet in the ocean and dunk, man.
We're gonna have to lure you up to a Great Lake one of these days.
I grew up in Michigan, man.
Oh, that's right.
We own the Great Lakes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You are surrounding them, aren't you? Sounds to me like you might be a novel guy. Are you a novel guy or a nonfiction guy?
I'm 90% nonfiction.
Okay.
Like I got 8 books going right now. I mean, I got the Self-Talk Solution. I got Cash Flow Cookbook. I got Steve Chandler's Success Principles. But I also have Steve Chandler's The Woman Who Attracted Money, which is a novel. So I give myself my version of mind porn, like usually at night or at the kava bar, where I can just kind of read, dick off with whatever I want. But I'm 90% nonfiction, man. I dig it, and probably 100% self-improvement. It's just, I love those books. like Baryshnikov always said, and so did Gregory Hines. They started an awesome movie back in the 80s. Baryshnikov always said, dude, I'm always looking to pick up a step. And this dude is arguably the best ballet male dancer ever. Yeah. And he's always looking to pick up a step from somebody. And that's what I am. And there's no better way to do that than to dig into a book, because we don't have, again, Tony Robbins that we can just call and be like, yo, dude, it's like, but you can dig into stuff or people that he's inspired and get their regurgitated thoughts on it. And then we're always adding to our own arsenal.
Yeah, I found a lot of value in rereading my favorite, most impactful books lately.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I'm also one of those guys that reads, highlights, and types them out, my notes that I highlight. Every single, I can show you on my screen right now, dude. I have over 100 books, with probably more than 200 books. I can show you, man. I can proof this up, where I highlight it in the Kindle or on the page and I type it out.
You're an onion that just keeps going, Scott.
Dude, I have to. I crave it, man.
Yeah.
I'm not like rah guru motivational guy, although when I'm on stage, people laugh at me because, I'm on a trampoline for the first 2 minutes every time I speak. And I'm talking about, when you're on a rebounder or a trampoline, and I'm talking to them about the benefits of it, whether I'm going to speak about overlapping happiness or getting your ass in gear or whatnot, whatever I'm brought in to speak about, the first 2 minutes is on a rebounder, where I'm like, I tell them, listen, if you're an inch off that rebounder, you're at 0 gravity. You hit that rebounder, you're at 4 times gravity. And so when we fall asleep, our heart beats and purifies our blood, but our lymph system is a one-way valve. There's no way to get stuff out. And that's where cancer lives. That's where disease lives. So when you're on a rebounder for 3 minutes a day, it's flushing that out, because 0 gravity, 4 times gravity, boom, boom, it flushes everything out.
Yeah.
Best part about it, Ski Sick, is if you're in the audience, what's your head doing? Watching me. You're starting to affirm everything that I'm going to be talking about.
That's so sneaky shit.
Yeah, dude. So not only am I giving them awesome value, how they can start their day, right? I'm also getting them to affirm whether I'm going to, talk about whatever topic I've been blessed to be hired to come in and speak about. So people are like, and that's the mistake that people think, like, Fergie, man, he's an extrovert extraordinaire. I'm like, dude, you give me a book and a kava or a good cup of coffee, let me sit in a corner in a restaurant by myself, I'm 100% comfortable and I enjoy it. When I speak, I do the obligational go in, shake hands, hugs, pictures, whatnot, but I go to my room, dude. I'm not the guy at the bar drinking. I don't need that. What I need is relationships in connection.
Brother from another mother, baby. So there's 2 questions that I ask every guest that comes on the show, and I'd like to ask you those questions now. Are you ready?
I'm ready, my man.
All right. Question number 1, if you had access to unlimited financial resources, how would you profitably grow your current businesses?
Unlimited?
Unlimited, but it has to be profitable.
Yeah. I've never thought about having it. I've always earned it or asked for it. If I had it, I would probably leave no one behind, meaning, like, I have the No Child Left Behind. I mean everybody. If I had unlimited finances, every single person, 8 billion plus people, would be getting a call. How can we help you? But honestly, that's what it would be, because it would make me even more profitable than I'm blessed to be right now. I think that's what it would be, is just unlimited finances. Everybody on this planet that was above the age of 25 would get a call. I just believe children's brains are still mush until they're 25, so they're not ready. But like physically mush, they're still developing, so that's what I would do, man. Everyone would get a call and see how we could help them.
Good answer. The second question is, if you had to give up every business you currently have or have done in the past and start something totally new that you've never tried before, what do you think that might be?
CrossFit gym. I'm kidding. That's your game.
Do it, man. I got a lot to say.
I got the best advisor out there.
Yeah.
I know I do. Something I've never tried before, but I would probably, and does it have to be profitable?
No, you could be. I've had surf shop from a very wealthy person. So
bro,
whatever.
Honestly, dude, I would probably sit on the beach with a lemonade stand, man. Honestly, dude, or like a hydration coconut water stand,
Yeah.
or something like that, just so I could
Kava,
still have,
baby.
huh?
Kava. There you go.
Kava's dehydrating. That's one thing I tell people. For
Okay.
every 8 ounces of kava, 16 ounces of water. They hate it when I say it, but they'll be very appreciated when I do. Now, honestly, man, I would probably, not even honestly, this is what I would do is I would sit on the beach and then just have, you know, I think there's some YouTuber out there that's like changed my mind. I'd be like, come have a conversation. That's all, dude. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on.
Yeah.
I have my side, but I don't care what your side you're on, because you and I did the deed for our country, for them to be able to do it. I just love conversations.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, dude. I freaking love them. And I'm just not whole without them,
Mm-hmm.
you know, during the day, you know. And Susan will even tell me, she's like, honey, you didn't talk to enough people today, did you? Like, she'll say that. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I just didn't, you know?
Interesting.
So, and that's why another thing with the podcast during COVID, Jay, didn't save my life, but it saved a lot of my well-being, because, you know, I was scheduling like 8 shows a week, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was like, okay, we're going to do 4 on Tuesday and 4 on Thursday, because I ain't got jack and shit else to do with my time.
Wow. Well, so if you're still listening to this, you obviously want to be involved in Scott's world. He's just a total he's a natural disaster of love and kindness and helpfulness. So
Love this.
we're going to come up with one that isn't already occupied by one of your friends, but you need a nickname that has something to do with that. So Scott, tell the folks where they can find you and connect with you. Obviously the links will be in the show notes.
No, I appreciate that. We have a hotline, whether you know somebody that has a problem in their life. You can call us 24/7. Somebody will, they don't answer, they'll get back with you very shortly at 561-440-3830. If you're interested in our podcast, you can find us on Time to Shine Today on all directories. And there is a today at the end of that. Time to Shine Today on all podcast directories. And, you know, just thank you so much, brother, for letting me come on your show and spill what little knowledge I have and be able to always level up. And you're right, we're brothers from different mothers, man.
I love your guts.
Love your guts, man.
All right. Have a great day.
Later, brother.
Thanks, everybody.